Welcome to Lighting the Educational Flame, created and produced by educator and author Mark Hoberman, owner and director of Grade Success Tutoring. Mark will be joined by Susan Brender, CEO and host of The Susan Brender Show. The purpose of this program is to offer our listeners a variety of stories dealing with many interesting topics surrounding education. It is our hope that students and parents alike will benefit from the wide range of topics, including study skills, test prep, anti-bullying, sports, music, and more. We hope you enjoy our show, Lighting the Educational Flame.
Hello and welcome to the talk show Lighting the Educational Flame, brought to you by the Grade Success Education Channel. I'm Mark Hoberman, and my co-host is Susan Brender. Hey, Susan, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
So we've got someone very special today, per usual, someone who works with education and writing and helps kids on the autism spectrum. And I know you've worked with a lot of people within the autism network. And what can you tell us about some of the things you've done and what you've noticed?
Well, you know something, autism is a complex disorder, Mark, and you know what? It affects the brain in different ways. Some people on the spectrum are very, very high and some are very, very low. Right. And these ways that are characterized by repetitive speaking, and some of them bang their heads on the wall, and you know, all kinds of things happen to them, and it's a very sad situation. But you know what? Today's show is going to show you that these people on the autism spectrum can do a lot. And
oh yeah, there's so many people, and also the show Atypical, which I watched from start to finish, there's another season next season, really does delve into the research and makes you more familiar with and less uncomfortable with people with autism, because it's really based on ignorance, certain things that we think about autism and autistic children and even autistic adults. So we're going to bring on our special guest now, and we'll welcome her. Our guest today is teacher, advocate, gardener, Karin Falcone. Karin, welcome to Lighting the Educational Flame.
Hi, thank you.
Pleasure having you here. Got to ask you first, what made you decide to follow your passion and become involved in education? There's so many things you did within the realm of education.
Well, I originally was a writer and went to school for that. And during that graduate training, I got to teach a few classes and really enjoyed that. And so after I earned my degree, I started teaching adjunct classes at a few area colleges here in New York, and 20 years went by.
I know. I had the same thing. I blinked and 33 years went by. So been there, done that for sure.
You know, Mark, it's an interesting thing that Karin has got involved in such an amazing project. I'd like her to really explain how that all happened, because when I heard from my friend Alethea, who is the person who started the program, I was amazed. I have to tell you, it was an incredible program. So Karin, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about how this farm got started and what it's really doing?
Okay, well, I'll say this. It was June, I believe, and it was in pretty much the middle of COVID lockdown. And I was really just sitting here writing for so long because I took sabbatical from teaching, and I just wanted something to do, and I've become really passionate about organic farming. So Alethea at Orchestide Farm, which is located at Planting Fields in New York State Parks nearby here, agreed to let me be a volunteer. I just wanted to learn more about gardening and farming for my own benefit. And there are adults with autism all over the place, working, being themselves, having a great time. And even if they were not having a great time, it was okay. And it just, all my worlds collided because I have a son on the spectrum and a stepson on the autism spectrum. So my years as a teacher, a parent, a gardener. All this collided at this place. It's a very magical and wonderful place. And I really think it saved my mind during the COVID lockdown. They didn't shut down because we're working outside, socially distanced, wearing masks. There was no excuses and just such a positive attitude. So later I found out more about how this place started about 5 years ago, and it was through someone with autism who was nonverbal, but loved doing the work with the land. And so it was that spark. So the tradition of keeping this open to people with many abilities continues. And I really just love this place.
Well, it's interesting because you say it collided together. It sounds to me like all the different aspects of your life and expertise kind of meshed together and kind of supported one another. So I know that, you know, you've had extensive career in the life of writing also. How did you mesh that with the farm and with the people with autism? And how did those different fields mesh together for you to be able to bring out the best in people on the spectrum?
So during my weekly time there over the summer, I really got to see people learn and change and work through projects. And so I was really kind of being fly on the wall and taking it in. And I knew that I had an audience at Able News, which is a monthly newspaper here in New York area. The publisher is Angela Melody. She's quite a dynamic and wise person, someone who's mentored me through the years and supported my writing career. So I pitched to her, could I write about Orchestite Farm and what's going on there for the newspaper? And she said, okay. And it was a piece that meant a lot to me because it was not just a quick piece, but I had spent a few months just observing and kind of taking everything in, and it was a way I just like to write, to kind of do a long and slow. And I was really proud of writing about Colin and his project of building a pond at the farm, and seeing that over time. He was a five-year veteran of the organic growers course, so he had a really just good intuitive sense of what needed to be done at what time of the season, and that was kind of the focus of that story.
Karin, let me ask you something. People have an impression of people with autism. Sometimes they think that, you know, it's like everybody is so ill and so they can't do anything, that, you know, they're a burden on people. And then they also think that there are people who are like savants. They know tons of things. So would you describe to our audience, when you talk about these adults that are working on the farm, exactly what they're like?
So I've heard this said before, if you've met one person with autism, then you've met one person with autism. Right. These are just very unique human beings that don't really fit a mold, and it's a gift to allow ourselves to be open to people with all abilities. And I think that any kind of segregated setting is bad for everybody.
Yeah.
So the more we can have natural proportions in our world, the more we're going to be able to be accepting and, you know, learn some new ways of being. I mean, I saw how our boys, my son and my stepson here at the house were, from a young age, are really attracted to technology and could amuse themselves endlessly on this. And everyone said, it's terrible, it's terrible. And now we've reached an age in an era, really, where that's pretty normal.
Right.
And so,
Technology.
yeah, and working by yourself and not, so I see, I always thought that, these folks, in a lot of ways are, there's a future that's unknown, and they might be more prepared for it than we are.
Right.
That's my take on it. I've tried to stay positive and still deal with the technical, real reality aspect of having our kids participate in the world as it is. So,
Well, Karin, the Wild Working Gardens, is that the name of the farm or the name of the program? How does that enter into this?
that's the seeds of my own project.
Okay.
I was doing some gardening, teaching gardening videos during COVID, but
Okay.
Orchestra Farm is the farm that is very inclusive of.
Yeah. Let me ask you something, Karin, and I think that Mark would actually like to ask you the same thing. Would you describe what exactly happens at this farm? Because people don't really know. I mean, I found out because of, as you talked about, Alethea, who started this particular project. Now, I know, and I'm going to just say it, but maybe I'm wrong. So, clear it up for me. Now, I think that what happens at the farm, people plant seeds, they grow veggies of all sorts, and they sell them, and they live on the farm. Am I correct in stating that?
No one lives on the farm. It's really just a 1 acre fenced in market garden. The size of it is a market garden. And we're using completely organic practices. And so everybody is kind of bringing some knowledge to the table. So there's no chemicals or pesticides or anything that could harm you. There's a teacher there, Shannon Colby, who's a very gifted human being and just a wonderful teacher. And she's also very skilled in biodynamics, which is an old, a very old practice that follows rhythms of the moon, lunar gardening, and different types of practices to enhance the soil. So the organic gardening class comes to class. And I think it's about 2 hours long. And so the adults with, again, various learning disabilities or developmental delays come to the class, and most of them have their community habilitation worker with them. Okay, it's pretty common through OPWDD and self-direction that in order to go and participate in the community, these adults hire somebody to be their ComHab worker and acclimate them to the situation. Or if they choose that they don't want to work that day or have to, so there's somebody there who can manage it. And so there's just this crew of us, and over the summer maybe there would be 15 or 20 people.
What are the age? Karin, what are the age ranges?
These were all adults over 18.
Are there any plans to try to take it to a younger age level to involve some children in this in the future? Is it something you see working for younger people as well?
I do believe they had an after-school program, but I didn't see it go on because during COVID
Right.
it was stopped.
Correct.
So I walked into this really, and it was such an odd time, but it truly changed how I see things. So, so I'll give it for instance. So one of these days, it was the day that the sweet potatoes needed to be picked, dug out, and I didn't even know you could grow those on Long Island. I thought it was something from the South.
Interesting.
And then there they were, and so the stronger dudes were digging with a fork so not to damage them. And then we were following behind with boxes and our gloves and putting the potatoes in the boxes. And then other stronger people than me were carrying them to be weighed, right? And marked up in a book. Someone else is doing this. Then it goes into the truck. And then each week there's a CSA, community supported agriculture.
Okay.
So anybody, me or you, could join for the season and get a big box of vegetables every Friday. So whatever was picked, you've purchased a share and you get that food.
Great.
So, but that sweet potato day was a remarkable day. There's no conversation needed, you know. So even if you're nonverbal, you could observe and do this work. And we needed all hands. It was necessary. There was no way any one person could have done this. So it was just this beautiful flow of people moving and this just bounty from the earth, and having it available to go out into the food was going into the community.
Karin, let me stop you for a second. I'm interested in knowing, once you get these vegetables and you put them in the boxes, where do they go? And does the farm make money off this? And do the students, or I'll call them the farming autism kids, do they actually make money from this?
So this is a not-for-profit endeavor, okay? So it's funded by a variety of grants, and the people in the organic gardening class need to pay to be in the class.
Okay.
And it's part of the way this project goes on. It's really on a shoestring budget. The land is, I believe, leased from New York State Parks and the Planting Fields Foundation. So it's a variety of collaborations, and I think we'd like somebody who's taken the course for many years and is good at what they're doing to just eventually be a volunteer. But I don't think there was very much paid staff at all.
Yeah.
What we did get to do is take home our own boxes of food, and that was so very worth it.
Right.
So everybody who works there, got free organic produce, which is just such a valuable thing to have. So
Mark, I'm interested in understanding, you've been a teacher for so many years. Have you ever heard about a program like this? Because this is unique, isn't it?
I've heard about programs where people do productive things like this. This is quite honestly the first of this nature that I've heard with adults or children. I know in this case it's adults. So I think it's great because it shows you that there's a place for everyone, that people have their talents, the fact that they're teaching them and they're not just, they're packaging it, they're probably planting it, and they're so involved. So that's just a great thing. It's great when people work together, and everything that happens educationally doesn't have to be in a classroom. So that's why I think this is really great stuff. So Karin, where can people go to find out more about you and more about the actual program and the farm program?
I do have a website. It's my whole name spelled out, Karin Falcone
Okay.
Krieger, Karin Falcone Krieger .com. And Orchestra Farm is it's on the Planning Fields website, because I think I'm going to spell it wrong.
That's no problem. We can look that up. So, Karin, Susan and I can't thank you enough for joining us today and sharing your incredible experiences with our viewers. We learn something new every time we do an interview, and certainly this is a phenomenal thing that you're helping people on the spectrum as adults in this way. So thank you so much for being on the show. We appreciate that. I want to remind the viewers, remember to reach out to us on social media. Look for Great Success on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We would love to hear from you. You can also find me, Mark Hoberman, on LinkedIn. Again, thanks to Karin Falcone for being with us today. Susan, as always, thanks to you. Viewers, don't forget to come in and view our next show. This is Mark Hoberman thanking you for watching Lighting the Educational Flame on the Great Success Education channel, and have a great day. Karin, many thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Karen.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to Lighting the Educational Flame with Mark Hoberman. To contact Mark, email him at info@gradesuccess.com.